I do love me some of that intro video. What's going on, everyone? Welcome, Arvanauts. Welcome, everybody, to a Friday stream. It is Friday, December 22nd, 2023, in the year of our Lord, etc., etc. It is about 10 minutes before 9 p.m. Eastern, and it is my great pleasure to welcome you all to day 21 of Expedition from the Mysterious Peaks, The Search for the Lost, also known as Shadows in Twilight. Both of those would also work. As we continue with our play sessions today, very excited to get back into this with Expedition. It should be a great year in 2024 for Expedition from the Mysterious Peaks, but I am very happy to be back into this and back with all of you today. Before we go any further, just a couple of reminders about ways to support us on the channel. If you have not done so already, please follow the channel. Please check out our YouTube with !ArvTube. And if you are watching us over on YouTube right now, thank you so much for being here. Please feel free to chat over in YouTube and say hi. Please as well, feel free to head over to my Twitch channel, twitch.tv/Arvan Eleron, and hang out with us in Twitch as well. And please subscribe to me on YouTube as well. Good to have all the YouTube folks here. !ArvCord is the Discord channel where you can hang out with the Arvanauts in between streams. Tweet, !ArvTweets is my Twitter. !ArvSky is my Blue Sky. That's the social media stuff that you need to know. And the website for this is arvaneleron.com. Financially, !ArvShop is the merchandise area where you can get a bunch of swag relating to the various campaigns on this channel, including soon to be the final new addition to the store for a while is going to be the Expedition from the Mysterious Peak stuff. So that is going to be coming up definitely early in the new year. So early in 2024, we should have that up there. Very excited for that. And you can get a bunch of other swag that both supports the channel and gives you some cool stuff. Make some quick gifts. You could do some like rush shipping. You can get it by Christmas. It's still possible. But yes, so that's going to be happening. Very excited about the shop. Very excited as well about the Patreon. !ArvTreon, currently sitting at 15 paid members, 111, which of course is not that much after fees and things like that. That really is the financial backbone of the channel, and we're really trying to build that back up. Any support that people can give in building up that amount would be much appreciated, because that allows us to get to a variety of channel goals. It'll also allow us to be able to do more things like the incredible video you saw on the music and commissions and stuff like that. All of that can happen when we get the support that's needed. So for those of you who have supported already, thank you. For those of you who haven't, please consider doing so. It'll also give you, if you support at a high enough tier, inspirations to help our players in the tabletop games, including this one. Same thing with subbing to the channel, which gives you those custom sub badges and emotes to use here, there, and everywhere across Twitch. And again, at a high enough tier, you can also get inspirations to help our players as well. I do want to mention that right now, cheers, that Twitch, when you cheer, Twitch will actually add a little bit to the cheer that you make. And for the Expedition from the Mysterious Peaks campaign, any cheers that happen during this session will go to the players. And so please feel free to cheer early and cheer often, so I can add that up and give this to the players as we continue to move forward. That would be lovely if you'd be so kind as to do those sorts of things. On the publishing side, !Icarus for my graphic novel from Athos Arts. !Library is my Tales and Tomes from the Forbidden Library. That's my 5e adventure and sourcebook from Alligator Alley Entertainment. And !Greyshade, which is my Grey Assassin trilogy. Greyshade and Renegade are already out. You can get those books right now at that link. You can also get the audiobook of Greyshade by our very own Trent Sparks. You can get that here as well at that link, and you can pre-order the final book in the series called Heretic, which I'm working on as we speak. That will be out next year. And also the tabletop role-playing game of Greyshade, which is also going to be out next year from Brandon O'Brien and Alligator Alley Entertainment. I had a very, very good conversation today with both Brandon and with Rich Lescoux-Flair, who's one of the people over at Alligator Alley, excuse me, which is of course responsible as well for sponsoring this campaign. And it was a really good conversation with a lot of good, exciting news that's going to be coming up in the new year with deliverables and you know, goals and standards and all that kind of stuff. It's going to be great. So that is right there at !Greyshade. Last but certainly not least, !BLM, Black Lives Matter, important to affirm and assert the significance and importance of Black lives. !Help Now, the World Health Organization page on suicide prevention. Important to reach out to others when you need help and reach out to others when they need help as well. And !Ukraine, UKRAINE, to help the people of Ukraine as they fight back against an illegal and illegitimate war with bravery and courage, and send the message that we will do so for others in a similar situation in the future. Now, quick note on schedule. We have Expedition from the Mysterious Peaks tonight. Tomorrow is going to be more Starfield, and next week is going to be a big holiday week for us. We're going to be streaming on Monday, which is Christmas Day. That will be the awesome family stream, which I'm always excited to do with my family. So Mrs. Arv, Little Arv, Mini Arv, and myself will be playing some awesome game on stream. Very excited about that. That'll be happening on Christmas Day. Then we will be back on Tuesday the 26th. I will be streaming the Patreon-fueled Chat Chosen Game of the Month, which I believe is Dungeon Siege, if I'm not mistaken. So I will be doing that. And then I will be over on GogCom's Twitch channel finishing up Solasta, Palace of Ice, which will be the last for Solasta 1. And then we will be moving on to Tintin, Cigars of the Pharaoh, because that is going to be the next game I'm going to be focusing on video game-wise over on GOG.com. So that should be a good time. And then a Friday of next week, 1 week from today, is going to be our Game of the Year show, where I talk about all of the games that I played in 2023, rank them all, talk a little bit about what the channel did in 2023, some of the highlights and so forth, and what the outlook is for 2024. I always do that every year. It should be a good time. And then last on Saturday will be Eberron Oracle of War on Saturday the 30th, and that will wrap up the year of 2023 on the channel before we get ready for what I hope is going to be a very awesome, exciting 2024 to come. So that's what we've got going on, but what we've got going on right now is some play. So I'm going to unmute myself, let the folks know that we are ready to go, and then I'm going to unmute them. And last but certainly not least, I'm going to head over to reveal, as you can see, 3 out of 4 of the members of the crew. Yes, someday, chat, someday, I believe, I do believe we will have a full group someday. But we'll get there. But in the meantime, we do have our incredible 3 players for you today. Kat's unable to join us, but we will have Kat back with us next year, by which he means next month. But normally Kat would be playing Fob, the lizard folk rogue, but was not with us today. But what we do have with us are the other 3. And I'm going to start with the person who's on the top left of our 4 squares, and that is, of course, one Mr. Johnny Pittman, Video Store Cowboy. Johnny, it's good to see you. Happy holidays and all that kind of good stuff. How are you doing? And who are you playing this evening, sir?
I'm really busy searching all the different sites right now, looking for the Sanford versus Syracuse mascot fight, which I cannot find, but you guys have been talking about, right? So if you can find it, I will stop obsessively searching. Toya went to DuckDuckGo. I'm currently on Bing, YouTube. I mean, maybe I'm gonna go to TikTok if I can't find this thing anyplace else. It's got to be somewhere, but nobody has this legendary fight. And then Zach had a really great idea, which I'll let Zach talk about. Yeah, it was your idea. Anyways,
I don't know what you're talking about.
Happy holidays. Okay, all right. I am Johnny. I am Video Store Cowboy. I am here to play a game. Happy holidays. Nice to see you. Don't catch COVID because it's crazy out there. And I am playing Titus Littlefoot, a Zek engineer. That's right. It's a Zek engineer. It's been a while. All right. Hi.
Which is going to be always a pleasure to have Johnny with us. Yeah, well, I'm getting there are a couple of videos, but this may not be the right one that I'm looking at. Right now I'm getting a lot of stupidest mascot ever, 30 goofiest mascots, and this is not a hypothetical. I saw this on video. I didn't see it live, but I saw it on video.
Oh yeah, it happened.
It was very funny. This whole thing has been it's a conspiracy of silence, Toy, is what it is. Like they don't want to admit.
Well, so I'm finding a lot of like video game examples of like somebody taking a football game, like a video game football game, and like modding it so that it's the actual mascots playing the mascots in football, but none of this like roundabout duke 'em up kind of like drag out fight kind of a thing.
Yeah.
I'm expecting 12 rounds of this thing.
I don't think this is a Bernstein/Berenstein Bears alternate dimension thing. It really happened.
Yeah, no, I mean that's the thing. I'm gonna track this down, but not right now, and I'm trying to do this. But that's, but yes, I'm very excited to see more of Johnny and more of the work of Titus later tonight. Always a pleasure as well to have Toya, who has got my back and agrees that this thing did actually occur, because it did. But it is always a pleasure to have Toya Kristen Finley with us. Good to see you, Toya. How are you? How's life in the universe with you? No massive storm for you this time, it seems like.
No, thankfully. The temperature is rising again, but it's not supposed to be raining. So Sunday it's supposed to get up to like 68.
Ooh.
So, hopefully that does not bring any fun activity with it, and it's just a nice day, because I will be at the game, and so I've been pretty good. I think Johnny is referring to my idea of having a fighting game of mascots. Was that
it? Was your idea? That's right. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So we were designing a fighting game of nothing but mascots while you were talking
tremendous.
to the fine people out there.
Print it.
Yeah.
Patent and print. Let's go.
And so today I will be playing Nalik, aka Nals Darkly, who is a human bard.
Very awesome. Super excited to see what Nals gets up to today. Also very excited as well to have one Mr. Zach Clay with us and stuff like that. And I'm only going to say this, chat, which is to say that there is an announcement coming soon relating to something that Zach and I are involved with. We cannot say more yet, but you will want to tune in. Maybe say a week from now, you might want to stop by, just, on the off chance that some discussion of whatever this phantom thing might actually be. Just saying you might want to be here. In the meantime, we are going to be treated to the role-playing stylings of one Zach Clay. Zach, how are you doing? How's life in the universe with you, and who are you playing today?
Hello, everyone. I'm Zach Clay. I'm doing great. I got... In recent news, I got a new emote from my friend Maddie, who's an artist, and it is just so amazing. I just put it in your chat. It's me in purple, which is one of my favorite colors, holding mallets and going like this because I play marimba and music stuff, and it's the most perfect thing ever. I'm in love with it.
Zach Clay Wiggle. That is very nice.
Yes.
That is very nice.
So there's that. Let's see. Lots of D&D stuff lately, as people will find out in about a week's time. And I'm excited to be here for this, where I am playing Dr. Kelden Jaraxus, a Dendus Cybermancer, who is a social media influencer all about science and other things. That's me.
Oh, but I was just thinking about what it would be like. I think, Zach will definitely be too young for this. I suspect that Toya might be too, maybe. But back in the day, rolling like public television TV on a cart into the room. Johnny is going to remember this, but I don't know if you remember this, Toya. Was this the thing that happened? You might, maybe not. I don't know. Or did you?
I'm not that much younger
cart?
than you are.
Well, I know. That's why I stopped. I wasn't sure. I know. So maybe. Do you remember what I'm talking about, though?
You mean the little carts you put TVs on?
Right, but I'm saying specifically they would have people watch PBS, there would be a PBS TV show that they would watch simultaneously with a lot of classes across the country. And they used to do this for elementary school stuff and things like that.
Oh,
we did not do that at my school.
Yeah. We had TVs on carts that would roll in. Yeah.
But was it watching specific stuff on PBS though?
No, it wasn't. It was to watch it was to watch DVDs, but you're talking if
no, I mean broadcast. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, no.
You're I remember that, the ancient days of DVDs. I'm no, more ancient than that. Anyway, I have no idea why
VHS is probably.
I think I was thinking about something relating to being an influencer. I have no idea. Anyway, regardless, I'll move swiftly on from revealing my age, and we'll talk a little bit about what happened in our last session. It's a great pleasure to have all these folks here. Let's fire up a little bit of music here. He said, where's my music? There we go. Let's fire up a little bit of Willow in the Light, and let's talk about what happened. In our last play session, and for those of you who watched last time, I mean play session, not, the session where we all talked about characters, which was awesome, but was not related to the plot of what's been going on. In the last play session, the characters finally made their way down into the underground kingdom of Celis. One of the places that hopefully, from Elu's point of view, they might be able to get some support from her parents, and specifically her mother, who would be able to use her influence and power to get the help that's needed given what's happening with Camria, and might also be able to help both Dr. Jaraxxus and Titus with a little bit more information relating to their need for Sorium, or the equivalent, and also figuring out what this beacon that brought them to the planet in the first place is all about. At least that was the theory. The problem is that when they arrived, they discovered that things have not gone well down in Celis any more than they've been going well above ground, because people in Celis have been disappearing. In fact, there are people who have literally vanished entirely, and without a trace and without any information or leads as to where they might have gone. This is particularly a concern, at least from what the party was able to tell. This is particularly a concern to Elu's mother, Levia, who, as she has been trying to kind of manage things, Levia has been dealing with a lot of things at the same time, including something I'll talk about in just a minute relating to one of her children. One of her children, though, specifically her son, it was revealed, of course, that her son had been killed, and that was, of course, Elu's brother. We know about this from the very beginning of the campaign. And Elu was not happy about it. In fact, she was devastated and was perhaps even somewhat angry at Elu for having, in some ways convinced her brother to follow along with her, and thus bring him in a position where he might have been killed. The party was able to navigate this process of grief with care and tact, and to allow Elu and her mother to reconcile to some degree. And so Elu and her mother have gone to try to get support from the Primarchs down here, so that they can get some, backup basically in dealing with the other Primarch above ground in Camria. But in the meantime, the party basically has decided that they're not going to get a lot of support one way or the other until they can solve this problem with the missing people of Celis. And one of those people, as they discovered towards the end of this last play session, one of those actually is none other than Elu's younger sister. Apparently there is another person, another sibling, besides the brother, that is also lost, and apparently may also be sort of weighing on some of the people around them, including Rel, who is their sprite servant, who has basically served the Whisper Winds for a long time. Rel was the one that basically was contacted by the sister, and then was able to explain that she had then heard that contact has been completely lost, and that the sister is one of the people that is going missing. And so the party has now agreed to try to track down information and basically see what has happened to these people. So we have a little bit of information that we need to know. Normally at this point I would talk about this, but I'm just going to use a lot of these amazing notes that a certain Zach Clay happened to have used, which was great.
Yeah.
Which is that, first of all, the earliest reports of these disappearances started in the Gardens district and then came all the way to the Palace district, and that's the Palace district is where they were planning on going. Most of these were these Twilight elves, but there seems to be no other real pattern to the disappearances. And so the party had just about decided they had several places that they could theoretically go. They could have talked to locals for information. They could have tried to question the authorities, and I'll come back to that one in a minute. They could have tried to investigate the younger sister's home. That's Nialestri. They could have tried to investigate her home, or they could have investigated the troupe, the acting troupe with which Nialestri was associated, and they could have spoken to them. But as I believe the party had decided at the end of our last play session, they decided that what they probably want to do first is to question the authorities, and specifically that means to go meet up with the constable in these parts, whose name is Bramblestock, and with whom apparently Rel may have some history, although the party doesn't know what exactly, but they seem to be very excited about the prospect of playing matchmaker. We will see whether that's actually the case, but in any case, those are the things that are presented to the party. And so I'm going to hand things back over to the party, but I'm going to, first of all, give them an early holiday gift. I'm going to bring us over to the map here, and then I'm going to change that map to reveal the Palace District. So this is the Palace District, and I want to call your attention to a couple of things. Right here, there we go. Right there is Whisperwind Manor. That is basically where you were able to look down on the rest of the city. And here, where Elu and Levia are going next, is the Palace of the Primarchs. That's where they're going to try to gather information to the extent that they can. Where you originally said, although you can change your minds, that you wanted to go is here. This is the constabulary right down here to the bottom right. And then the place where the troop is, I believe, is in the, let me see, I think that's in the lakes, right, a park area, Loden Field. Yes, that's right. So this is Moon Shadow Lake right here. Loden Field is right up here to the right. And then you can see for yourself the other different places there are. There is also visiting the home, as I mentioned, of Nialestri's home, and that's in a place called Naya's Garret, which is over here to the west. And then there's some other like landmarks which may or may not become important, or that you may want to consult or find out about later on. But this is basically the map. Congratulations, Hilness, that's awesome. So this is basically the map that you folks have to work with, and this is where the constabulary is, and this is where you are. So with that, I'm going to hand things over to the party. What would you like to do?
I have a quick clarification question.
Okay.
So we learned, Rel told us near the end of last session that Elu has an estranged sister, right? And that is Nialestri?
That is correct.
Okay, I had a note that Nialestri was Elu's best friend growing up. Is that still true, or am I confusing Nialestri?
Wait a minute. Well, let me take a look at the note. Hold on. There are different names. No, I'm sorry. I'm wrong. Sorry. I beg your pardon. You're quite right. Yes. Mavra is Levia's daughter who went to investigate. But the reason I got confused is Nialestri has disappeared. Was her best friend, and Mavra went to investigate Nialestri's home, and then also has not been heard from since. That's why I got confused. Sorry.
And nobody's really looking for Mavra either.
Correct.
Which is really got Rel feeling some kind of way about that.
You got it. Yep. So far, there's about 108 missing people, roughly speaking. So a lot. And again, most of those are Twilight Elves.
Okay. So number 7. Okay, so that's the Palace of the Primarchs, which we need to solve this missing persons thing to get their attention.
Theoretically, although Elu and Levia are also trying to get their attention now. So, but they're doing that on their own at the moment.
Okay. Interesting. Well, and you said that number 4, the low 10 field, is where the artists disappeared?
Right. That's where Nialestri's troop is. Not all of them have disappeared. Nialestri has, though. So that's her artist troop, and Mavra used to hang out with that troop also, and then Mavra went to Naya's home, and then hasn't been heard from since. And the home is number 3 that you see on the map, so over to the west there.
And the cabin that we're staying in is on the Whisperwind Estate, which is basically 1.
That's right. Yep.
Okay. Well.
And we're currently in the cabin and haven't gone out yet.
That's right. Although I think you had said it was morning, so I think you were saying you were, after having a nice breakfast, you were planning on going, but yes.
Oh, that's right.
So actually, before we head out, Nulls is not quite convinced that Mavra is in the same place as everyone else. She's thinking that, Mavra may have gone missing, looking for them, but, nobody's really tried to find her, so we can't rule out that she's with the other disappeared Twilight Elves. So there was that little thing that Nalls did before with the trees. So she would like to speak privately with Rel before they head out.
Okay.
But also she is going to say to the others that, she's suspicious of the fact that Mavra is with the others. She may not be. And to keep that in mind.
Okay.
So she goes over to Rel and says,
Rel had flown off, just so you know.
Rel has flown out.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, you could try to go find her again, but Rel sort of like was attending to duties, apparently.
So Nalls will wait until she can have a moment with Rel then.
Okay. Okay, just so you know, you need to go track her down because she's probably going to be out and about for much of the day, unless you want to wait the whole day. But assuming you don't, then you'd probably want to track her down, which we don't have to role play all that. We could just talk about it when she actually arrives there. But I'm just letting you know, if you want to go find her, you would have to go do that, presumably.
So she did warn us about Bramblestalk.
Yes.
Is it possible? She doesn't really want to talk about him, but is it possible to get some pointers about what not to say to Bramblestalk or flattery?
You could try, but when you talk, but you may remember that when the name came up, she just kept talking about how incredibly mean Bramblestalk was, and just a jerk, and he's probably an honest person, but otherwise he's still a jerk, and he doesn't know how to handle people and all that. You got the impression that she probably would. I'm not sure you'd want to take suggestions from her. Like it sounds like they've kind of they kind of have had a few fights in the past, if you had to guess from what you saw from them, from the way she described it.
Oh, lovers' quarrels.
All right. Well, I think maybe we head towards the constabulary, because then that also brings us close to where the artists are. And if we happen to find Rel along the way, then we do. But otherwise, I think our first point of order is meeting with Bramblestalk.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Agreed.
Okay. All right. So you make your way down then to the constabulary, and a couple things to note when you're on your way down. First of all, what just sort of like a quick question of how you're presenting yourselves. How visible? Remember that I talked about the fact that the technology is something which tends to bother a lot of people in Celis. So I'm wondering how visible any of the technology, particularly from Titus and Jaraxxus, there is or isn't. Oh, and also, are you bringing Gamork with you? I should ask that too.
We probably should not bring Gamork.
Yeah, probably not.
What could go wrong?
Parading a direwolf through town.
A Magitech out direwolf.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you're leaving him.
So,
what about the rest of the technology, display or not display?
So is there, I know that it seems like these Twilight Elves are the predominant people of this place. Are we seeing, and other than pixies, I guess, as well, are we seeing any other species? Like, do we get the feeling looking around that, a Zek and a Dendis are going to be, like, stick out like sore thumbs here?
Yeah, you definitely, so you've seen some sprites, you've seen Twilight Elves, you have seen an occasional dwarf, maybe a human. You have not seen anything like either a Zek or a Dendis, Now, I will say, or a Dendis, I will say that, just from the very little bit of it, you didn't get a lot of, like, the guards didn't really stare at you. They seemed more concerned about Gamork maybe than the rest of you, at least just outwardly. Like, it didn't sort of seem that way. They probably were pretty down about the idea of anything that looked vaguely technological, but as far as just you as people, you didn't see a lot of reaction from the guards, but they may also be super well trained, to do that. So, hey, Aklaba, what's up, man? It's been a long time. How you doing?
I think, Jaraxxus wouldn't necessarily figure that just because we look like outsiders that suddenly we're, that's not illegal or something, but, it might get some unwanted attention. So I think Jaraxxus would actually go to the lady of the house, Levia, or whoever would assist, whatever assistants around, and ask if there's a way we could get like maybe like a tabard of House Whisperwind or something, like something that could show that we like belong here, and so that people are like, oh, okay, they are strange, but like they're with these people,
right? Presumably, yeah, same, Aklaba, same. You probably would be able to find. I mean, both Elu and her mother are not currently home, but you probably would be able to find something which would, if you do a little bit of sort of like searching around and looking, you can probably find something which would basically indicate your connection to the House of Whisperwind. So yeah, you probably could have something like kind of like a little, as you say, a tabard or a little cloak or something like that would probably reveal it. Now, even having one of those things does not, immediately turn you into a Whisperwind, but at least it might calm down a little bit or mitigate the possibility. So yes, you probably could do that.
Okay. Assuming Draxus could find one for each of us, then he would, and we'll say Draxus finds a little, a tabard or something like a poncho would be preferable. Whatever he can do, it'll fit his coat around. And otherwise, Draxus is going to very astutely try to hide any technology on his person, while also attempting to record without showing anyone that he's recording.
Okay. So the secret, and like, are you making a real effort on this, Draxus, or is it one of those like obvious in the in the coat type of things, or like?
I would, yeah, because even if I have like a visor on my face, that might be enough, like not good enough, or they might not like that.
Might work.
Yeah. And I have a recording unit, but it's not like specific as to what it is. I've been playing it out as being like almost like a little smart glasses thing. I would think so. Saying that it's that, if there's a way that Draxus can play off his visor as being a pair of like glasses that he needs for sight, I think that's what he'll try.
Okay.
And then just all the lights and blinking whatever, he'll just turn off.
Okay.
But yeah,
so it just looks like your basic garden variety glasses. At least that's what you're trying for. Yeah, although it's like super mod. Yeah. Right. Exactly. Yeah. Okay.
So that's Draxus. Yeah.
Okay. Fair enough. So, and then Titus, are you? Do you have any like specific things that you're like? How are you presenting yourself as you head along with them?
Titus is not necessarily interested in wearing a house emblem. That's something he recognizes as like a sense of identification and either honor or agreeing with somebody's ideals or perspectives.
Okay.
And the conversation we had with the mom was not really a comfortable thing.
Mm-hmm.
But he will look for a cloak of some kind or something else to cover himself that is sort of nondescript, because between he's still wearing the flight suit that he wore when they were on the ship. I mean, that's been his garb. He's got the backpack that Draxus bought for him, back in the day, but otherwise most of his gear is pretty obvious and it stands out. So he's got basically the flight suit, and then he's got his engineering rig, which is basically just some like a vest on top of his flight suit with all kinds of gadgets and stuff. So he would be looking for something that the equivalent of like an appropriately sized, like he would go find like something that might fit a dwarf and like have it be a little long and drag on the feet, but otherwise
so with unless
we find like a gnome like tailor of some kind.
You might find one downtown. You are able to find a basically what the equivalent would be of sort of like a travel cloak, although the temperature down here is reasonably well controlled, and so what you find is almost it is a cloak, but it's almost as much of like a wrap, Titus, as it is anything else. So it's kind of a little light. I mean, on your person, not as heavy as you might expect, and very flowy. So it's one of those things where if you were like, and then you like turned left randomly, like you could imagine the cloak flying up. So you just have to be a little bit aware of that. But otherwise it does, a pretty good job in concealing gadgets and doodads and all that.
Okay.
And so with all of those sort of calculations put in mind, we don't have to worry about this with Nulls. The party proceeds down the way. And when you get down to the area down by right there around 2, there is a small building that you're pointed to, which is between what are basically the temple and market districts. And you're kind of led to this thing, and above it you see actually a word which is in Elvish. Do any of you actually speak Elvish? I don't know if we asked about this before.
I do.
You do.
Lost does. Yeah.
Nulls, you read that as constabulary. That's definitely what you're looking for. It's pretty small. Like there's not, they're not a lot. It's not some massive like security operation going on. It's a pretty small building, but that definitely is the constabulary. And when you go in, you can, when you walked into this room, it's a relatively small room. There's a fairly high front desk. And at least initially, there doesn't seem to be anyone there. There is, however, a small bell, which is sitting on the top of this counter that leads to who knows where. But the room seems to be empty at the moment.
Jaraxxus will kind of takes a stance behind Nalik, and given that Nalik, you had mentioned that you were looking for Rel earlier and like pointers as to how to talk to Bramblestalk, it seems like Jaraxxus is going to let you take the lead as far as like this whole situation. And you can see he's also in like a prime spot in where that gets you and Titus and the rest of the room.
Mm-hmm.
And he gives you a thumbs up, like, yeah, go for the bell, ring it. I'm fascinated at what will happen.
And Nulls looks over at Titus before before approaching the bell. Like, okay. So Nulls looks at them and then goes, ding.
So when the bell rings, Nulls, the word would not be startled. You are perhaps a little nonplussed when a voice right by your ear says, well, there's no need for that. I was right here. And they were definitely not there. You look over to see this, what can only be described as a neat uniform wearing sprite, about the size of Rel, probably a little bit older, sort of silver gray sideburns and so on, but a very uniform is like just so and sprite sized. And he says, so he does that sort of, you kind of look over, and then he flits behind the counter and he says, welcome. You've reached the constabulary. What may I do for you? And he kind of looks around.
Thank you, sir. We didn't mean to startle you. We are guests of the Whisperwinds.
Ah, the Whisperwinds. Yes, fine family. Well, as per usual, if I could receive information about all of your names, please. And he snaps his fingers and a large leather-bound book appears floating, just literally kind of like up and down by him to the left. And then he sort of looks at it and the pages, cover opens, pages fly open until he gets to a blank. And then he snaps his fingers again and a quill appears in his hand, and he sort of waits poised over the book, and he says, right, names, please.
Name's Nalik. Some call me Nulls.
Nalik, quote, Nulls. Last name?
Just Nalik.
Nalik, Nulls, just Nalik. You only have one name? No last name at all?
Well, if you'd like to call me Nulls Darkly, do as you please.
And he underlines and he says, very well. And you? And he kind of looks down at you, Titus. Mostly because he's floating. Don't feel bad.
Sorry, wasn't prepared. Titus Littlefoot.
Titus Littlefoot. Very well. What are you?
What is this you're asking about? Why are you asking for our name?
It is very important that everyone be identified when they come to the constabulary, and indeed when they come to Celis in the first place. And also,
are we not free to travel these lanes, these streets?
If you are approved by certain groups, yes. The Whisper Winds certainly allow you passage. If I may ask, though, I'm not familiar. Are you, this is necessary for demographic information, are you a Zek? Sorry, he doesn't say Zek. Freudian slip. Arv says that. He says, are you a, let's see, a gnome, perhaps a halfling, a...
Decline to state.
Conjuration, a decline to state. And he starts writing it down.
That is
and
what
sort
I am,
of,
a decline to state.
He looks down and he uses, really? And he sort of like, his eyes narrow a bit. And he says, very well, out of interest for diplomatic concerns, I will not ask further. May I ask whether you, Ms., you called yourself Darkly, I believe was the last name. Would you mind letting me know your demographic conditions? Specifically, what culture or racial conditions do you possess? And you can tell he almost seems to be reading off of like a template or like a manual, you know?
Well, I have been told that I possess humanity.
Humanity, a human. All right, very well. Might have expected it, not sure, but always don't want to assume. And then he looks over at you and he says, and as for you, he looks at you, Dr. Draxus, he says, yes, name please.
Of course, I am Dr. Keldon Jaraxis.
Dr. Keldon Jaraxis. Let's see, that's with two X's in the last name, is it?
That is right. I would have it no other way.
Very well, very well. You say doctor, have you been certified by one of the appropriate certifying institutions here in Celis?
Not yet.
I must ask you in that event, although you may use the title, please do not actually provide medical assistance to anyone unless asked. It can provide some kind of illegal circumstance.
I'm not a medical doctor. I'm not a medical doctor. Imagine that.
Well, what kind of a doctor are you?
A doctor of the sciences, of the stars, of the spheres.
I'll just leave that out then. And he marks something down. He says, as you know, there are no real medical doctors. Oh, sorry, Chad. I just thought just a little satire, just a little. Anyway, so he says, all right. And may I ask what your specific cultural and or racial conditions are?
Of course.
You do not appear to be human or, and he looks at the book,
no.
declined to state.
I am a Dendus Highkin. Particularly in the common tongue. Mm-hmm.
Must say I'm not familiar. Are you from, one of the other above ground cities, perhaps?
As above as you can get, yes.
And he kind of nods slowly and he says, very well, very well. Thank you. And I have got the information that I need. So, thank you for your cooperation. What may I do for you?
We are here on the matter of the disappeared. We wish to be of service to the community.
I am appreciative of that. I don't suppose you have any information that you've gained already. We are looking for all information that would be helpful.
No, we know very little. So if you can tell us where to start, any clues, anything that might be left behind that could help us in our search.
There are official channels that one must follow. The state of the investigation, as it is an active investigation, we are anxious not to Well, we are looking for information, but we don't wish to share what information we have with others. It's dangerous to do so, especially if others were to find out and use that against them. So, unfortunately, I'm not at liberty to disclose more.
Oh, I understand that you're being discreet. So, maybe just a little something to help us out, like, some patterns. You don't have to give us evidence, but just something strange that you may have noticed, and we can take it from there.
Well, it's quite irregular, I'm afraid. Yes, the Whisper Winds vouch for you, but I don't have one of the Whisper Winds actually here at the moment, and that makes things difficult. And even if you were one of the Whisper Winds themselves, the investigation does have very tight controls being placed on it. Nulls, I would like you to make an insight check for me, please, here. Ooh.
Not good enough.
That is a complete fit. No, that's quite good. They will happily take a 23. You get the impression that Bramblestock, if that is who this is, and you're guessing that is who this constable is, but he looks exceedingly nervous to you. That is, he's very officious and whatever, but he's also clearly being evasive, although it's impossible to tell about what and for why. But he's definitely nervous. You don't get the impression just about your presence. You get the impression that it was when you started asking about the missing that he kind of got like, yes, well, type of going by the book.
So Nalls looks him in the eyes so earnestly. Sir, I understand. You are a man of your community. You care very, very deeply about these people, and it must be weighing on you that great burden, knowing that somehow under your care people have gone missing. I can understand that. And here you have several individuals from outside. I get it. Who can trust us? But don't you need a new perspective? Why wouldn't you want a new perspective on this investigation?
There are factors that are at work, conditions that make things very difficult, circumstances of bureaucratic consideration and governance strategy that are employed.
Someone is tying your hands. Is that what you're saying?
He gets even more, again, flustered, maybe sort of the right word, although, yeah. He says, well, I not appropriate for me to talk about that, really. We are given all the resources that we could ever need here at the constabulary.
This is obviously a big problem for the city, and it sounds as with over 100 people missing, like there hasn't been much headway made. We know that we're strangers, we're new in town, but my friend is right. A new set of eyes could work, and imagine what benefits would come to you by those very same people who are tying your hands if the missing people were found because you helped us. We help you.
I would like you to make a persuasion check for me, please.
Since I was, bounding off of what Nalika already said, can we do some, Rombo combo roll? Or do I get any bonus, or...
No, I'm going to allow Nulls to do a persuasion if this doesn't work.
Okay.
Sort of taking another run at it.
All right.
Okay.
19. I'll take it.
19's not bad. Well, the truth is that, and his voice kind of drops a little bit, he says, my superiors are impeding the investigation slightly, but and he kind of points sort of surreptitiously kind of like looks up in the direction of the corners of the room. And if you were to look, and I would say that all three of you can probably see that, you might be able to see what look basically like these three orbs that are on the first, like the really three corners of the room, not on the fourth one, but three corners of the room. And he says, but I'm not really at liberty to say more.
Interesting.
Then the leans in and says, "Oh, we understand. That was actually very helpful."
And yes, well, so more discussions are, not at this present time. And he sort of like, he kind of like the journal sort of drifting up and down. You can see there's other writing on the journal as well. And he kind of like says, perhaps, I'll have to see what I can, and he sort of is looking around, and then he kind of says, I'll have to, excuse me. And the journal kind of sort of wobbles and flops down almost on the counter. And he says, it's stupid of me, excuse me. And he kind of waves his hand. And when the book lifts again, Nals and Jaraxxus, you both can see that there is looks like a small piece of paper that's basically been left underneath.
Jaraxxus will move forward and say, let me help you. And I'll, try to grab the paper and close the book and act like I'm, helping him and handing the book back to him.
Okay. Okay. Are you, Sal, you can get the piece of paper with no problem. Are you trying to look at the book or just trying to like close it, like as you're sort of doing? I'm not trying to lead you to do that, by the way. Because you're right over the top of it, I didn't know what you wanted to do.
Yeah. I mean, part of me wonders if, now I don't want to, game the system much, and I don't know how this would work, but part of me wonders if, since I'm recording, if I don't even need to look. Like, is that something that I could take advantage of? Or is it such a thing that I need to look at something?
I was about to say, you would need to be if you're going to keep this surreptitious as you're trying to do, then you would need to look at the thing you're recording. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, Jaraxxus will try. He'll try to sneak a peek at it.
Let me have you make I'll take either stealth or sleight of hand here.
Perfect.
Major traits for Dr. Jaraxxus.
Yeah, yeah. Remember how dexterous Cosmoritis was?
Yeah.
Yeah, not me. That's a 5.
Okay. So you're like, oh, and I imagine you. So you sort of look down, and he's like, yes, well, and he snaps his fingers, and you pull your hand out of the way just before the book slams shut, and like practically takes your finger off, and then he says, yes, well, right, very well. Well, the constabulary is currently in an investigative state, and so I shall bid you all a wonderful more afternoon. Goodbye. And by the way, it's still morning. By the way, it's not even close to afternoon. And he says, goodbye to all of you, and then just vanishes out of existence.
I say, he vanishes. In kind of the same matter that he seemed to appear.
Right.
Yeah, okay. Jaraxxus will say, oh, shame. I'm sure he would have wanted to know that his old friend Rel wanted to say hello to him. Well, I guess let's go.
So there's this moment of nothing, and then make a perception check for me, Jaraxxus.
Okay.
I should have said the journal, by the way, also vanished when Bramblestock did.
10.
Yeah, he seems to be vanished. Yeah.
Okay.
Before we exit, can Titus spend a little bit of time examining, or at least studying from afar, the orbs that were in the corners?
Sure. Let me have you make. From here, I think it's going to have to be perception, because unless you want to get right up close to the orbs. like which are in the corners, so you need to have someone like lift you up to it or something.
I also wanted to look at the orbs too.
Okay, so you can do the same thing. I'll take a perception from either one of you, unless again you're going to walk right up close to the orbs.
Nalik is not going to approach them.
Okay.
I'm going to get as close as I possibly can to them.
Okay. So, all right. So Nalik is going to avoid it. So they're on the top corner though, so you know, like up near the ceiling, like the corner of the wall in the ceiling. So you would need to like
about 10 feet up.
Yeah, roughly. Yep. So you can go right underneath it and look up if that's what you want to do.
I do. I want to see what I can see being like boosted up or anything.
Okay, let's have you make your perception.
But I'm
check.
definitely going to show like interest. Okay.
And I'll give it to you a +2.
All right. How about a 12?
The orbs look sort of rather dark, and not. I mean, they might be mirrored, but not really. They sort of seem more kind of almost like a matte finish, you know, like on the outside of these orbs. And they're decent size. They're probably about the size of maybe a human fist, something like that. And they seem to be sort of flush with the edges of them are sort of flush with the wall and the ceiling, almost like the orb has been inserted into the corner, if you follow what I mean, is what it looks like. Other than that, though, you don't notice anything in particular about them.
In our time walking from essentially the compound or where we're staying to here, did we see any other orbs like this on the street?
Nope.
Or attached to a building?
Nope. Not like this. Now, you did not go inside other buildings so far, but just on the street, no.
Okay. All right. Cool. I'm good.
Nalls, let me have a perception from you, because I know you said the same thing, although you're doing it from a distance. So I'm not going to give you the +2 for this, so just a regular perception. Okay.
Nice.
What do we got? Is that 15?
It rolled off of 19.
That's too bad, however. All right. Okay, so 15. The only thing that seems odd to you that maybe stands out to you that perhaps Titus might not have seen is you notice all the same things that I mentioned with Titus, except there seems to be something. You can't tell if it's like shimmering or something, but as you stare at this thing, every so often something about it seems to shift subtly. And you can't quite make out what it is. You don't know if it's something moving or if there's some like weird like reflection of light or something, but something every so often almost like you're almost like blink and miss it. You're like, did I see something just then? Like something weird about the orb slightly.
So Malik is going to look over towards Jiraxis and says, wow, this is quite fascinating architecture. Just before we leave, just to get a look at that amazing ceiling.
Jiraxis will look at the amazing ceiling and try to think of a way to also inspect this stuff. I have an ability to analyze something, but I need to touch it for 1 minute, and I don't think that's probably gonna happen. Like, yeah, what is this thing? Yeah, Jiraxis will look up at it, so that he can have video of it, but otherwise he says, well, we should get going, right?
Oh, I agree, and we should talk about that amazing ceiling later.
Just before you leave, Jiraxis, I want you to make a perception check as well. I'm going to give this to you at +3, and there's a reason I'm giving it to you that, but I'll explain in a minute, depending on how things go.
Another 19.
The reason I said that you got the +3 is you can see every so often the same thing I described with what Nalik saw, this kind of like weird shimmering thing, except as you look closely, although from still a little bit of a distance, you think there may be something inside the orb which is moving back and forth.
And does the orb look like it's made of glass or what?
Or crystal or something like that, but opaque, like you couldn't see through it at all. Except, well, you can't see through it almost at all, but there's something moving almost certainly within it.
Is the orb large enough, or should I say small enough, that something the size of Bramblestalk could fit in it?
No, you don't think Bramblestalk could fit in it.
It's smaller than that?
Yeah.
Okay. And the orb, oh yeah, I was going to ask if it's connected to anything, but it's like it's set into the ceiling.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah,
okay.
like if you just saw a glass ball like pushed into the corner.
It might be connected to something, but we wouldn't be able to see it. It's on the other side. Okay. Yeah, Duraxis will make note of that, but we'll go to leave.
Okay. So you do so, and you're now standing outside the constabulary.
I pull out the slip of paper and
on the paper, which is all smudged from being in your pocket. No, I'm just kidding. Damn it.
My pocket's filled with tree meats.
Exactly. On the paper, you see just a name and apparently a location. And the name is Shaenan, Shaenan. And the building is Sanctum of Spirits.
Okay. We don't immediately know where that is, right?
Well, if you were to look, I mean, this is not leading you, I think. If you were to look at the map that you had been given.
Oh. Okay, yeah. Got it. Okay, so Duraxis, points at number 5 on this map and says, "Oh, look at these conveniently numbered locations. I think it's at number 5."
Yeah.
And
and this map was given to you, I should say. If I don't know if I mentioned that, but the map was actually given to you by the Whisper Winds before you left, sort of to help with your investigation.
Okay.
Well, should we make our way there and then discuss those orbs that Bramblestalk certainly didn't want to tell us about?
I would say we should, but we're much closer to the field to the northeast, where the artists' commune is. So perhaps we should do that before we head back. And yes, I had a feeling this would happen as we start walking. For a society that says no technology, what is one of the first things that we see? Although I saw something moving inside, and it is too small to hold something, like Bramblestalk, but I don't know.
Do you think it's used for surveillance?
Most assuredly. I can't imagine what else.
So the question is, are the observers down here or somewhere else?
I mean, I would think that they are the Primarchs of this place, in the palace. You think they could be even from outside the city?
At this point in time, who knows? But something or someone is definitely over Bramblestalk's head, and he's afraid of it falling on top of him.
All right, well, maybe we'll find some way to help him, but for now, our path is forward.
Which direction is that path, by the way, when you were walking?
I think to Loden Field.
Is that where you decided? I wasn't sure if everyone was on board. Okay.
Yeah. And Duraxis will ask Titus, what do you make of all that? All this?
Titus looks around as if taking in the environment, and he's looking for those orbs, or he's looking for other types of surveillance. and he's like he's really kind of taking in the environment before he turns around to you and says, it doesn't feel like it's going to be easy for us in this investigation. I suspect our every move is going to be watched, whether we're followed or seen from afar.
We could ask the trees. Where are the people who are watching us?
Is there one of those?
I don't think they answered questions that way, right?
They answered.
They gave us gifts.
Sure, but we could always ask Rel or Elu or Levia.
Rel seems like the best choice.
Yes.
So Null's approach is one of the trees. I'm assuming there are trees around him, right?
There are, although they don't look to be quite the same type as the ones that you saw back up at the gazebo cabin thing up by the Whisperwind thing.
Okay, so we'll have to wait.
Yeah, those trees seem to be much older and sort of more preserved than the ones down here. These ones seem somewhat newer, although everything here is a little odd. And again, I should mention as well, just to set the scene, all of this is very much, as you might expect, sort of twilight. It's bright enough that you're able to see, but it is definitely not, even though it is apparently about morning time, there's not bright sunshine, obviously, or anything like that. It's my son and I a couple days ago were in this like indoor miniature golf course where they had all like the neon paint, that gets picked up in the UV light type of thing. It feels a little bit like that, although there's some like moss lining the streets, which seems to be luminescent, which also helps light your way. But there's not a lot of like super bright light down here, I should mention. Okay, so
yeah. Quick question about the trees then. So are they saplings, or are they like, is it really young growth? Like, are we talking like within a generation?
No, these definitely do look like they've been around a while, but not as long as the trees. These are, like, I don't know how we describe them. Botanists everywhere are rolling in their graves, like like adult trees, right? But the ones that you saw up by the Whisperwind estate, and in fact the Whisperwind estate itself seems somewhat older than some of what you see down here in Celis, which doesn't make Celis new, it makes the Whisperwind estate old, if you follow what I mean.
Are you saying it's like an architectural like a newness to the architecture versus what these were the original buildings of the Whisperwind estate versus
you get the impression that
it's like an expansion?
Yeah, you get the impression that the Whisperwind estate is considerably older. Everything down here looks to be of a decent age, but the Whisperwind estate is that much older, and it's the same thing with the trees. The trees definitely have been here for a while, just not as long as the ones on the Whisperwind estate. Also, these trees do not seem to be mostly the same type as the ones. You haven't seen any others of the trees that the Whisperwind estate has so far down here. There are definitely a decent number of trees, but not like those. You also don't even know how the trees down here get the light they need, by the way. I mean, like, you always thought trees needed light, and there ain't a lot of it. But you definitely were dealing with trees, not mushrooms or fungi or anything, when you were back at the well, there was a lot of food that was like examples of fungi, but the trees themselves seem to be trees.
Do we see anybody tending the trees?
You do not.
Like okay.
And there are a few people passing by here and there, so a couple of Twilight Elves clearly on business. None really pay too much attention to you.
Yeah,
go ahead,
head to the field.
Okay.
No, yeah.
So you cross over and then up towards the field, which is basically part of this sort of lakeside park. And as you head up into this area where you were told you could find this troupe, this artist troupe, you get to the center of this park, and there are a lot of really you sort of odd looking, not just rock formations, but here there are what look like large fungal formations, like very large mushrooms and things like that. And you can even see a couple of places where there are little ladders up onto them. You wonder if these are like places where people could stand or sit, or whether this is even like a playground, like a mushroom playground. You don't totally know, but it could be something like that. And near the center of the park is this small plaza with a small stage, and you can see there are open grounds for like display tents and market stands and stuff like that. And there is a fountain statue in the midst of the plaza's center of what looks like this elvish featured, as I say, marble statue with elvish features kind of dramatically looking out towards the lake with his cloak thrown back. You don't know who it is, but the statue is there. Most of the plaza, though, is empty, although there are a couple of food stands, and there is one curio tent which has a decorative sign that reads Karios, that's K-A-R-I-O-S, Karios Troop Gallery, closed indefinitely.
And that's a like a tent?
Yes.
Said?
Yep. A decent sized tent, though.
Like the big top circus kind that you can enter?
Exactly, although not quite that big, but in the same ballpark, yes.
All right. And not a lot of people around right now?
Correct.
Are
a
the
couple
food
people here
stands
and there,
open?
but not in someone. The food stands do look like they might be open. You'd have to walk over to see. Right now, there's nobody at the stands. I mean, nobody like no customers at the stands anyway.
Does it appear that the tent is being guarded in any way?
Not from the outside.
Maybe.
Shall we give it a little walk around and then maybe try to go in?
We shall.
All right,
Okay.
we walk the perimeter of the tent.
As you walk the perimeter of the tent, the things you notice are, first of all, the sort of colors of this tent. There are these wide stripes that go from the sort of the ground floor, the bottom of the tent wall, all the way up to the sort of curvy roof. And you can see there are these guy ropes that are sort of on the side, kind of holding the tent in place. And as you walk around it, you can see that it's a pretty decent size. It's not as big as a big top, but it's a fairly decent size. There does not appear to be any other obvious entrance or exit or even window. But you could definitely see that there. You don't hear a lot of noise. There may be some talking coming from within the tent. It's a little unclear. But you don't hear or see anyone outside kind of challenging you or anything like that.
Well, I wonder if, before we go in, should we present ourselves as traveling artists who are looking for a bit of inspiration? I don't know if
I
we
am
should
certainly
go in...
an artist.
Yeah. If we should just go in, full investigator mode, that might set people's alarms off, And we do seem like we're strange and out of town. Might be endearing to them. I don't know.
Titus,
What are you going to say? Something, Titus?
Titus is he's pondering what you're saying, and then taking in the environment again, says, wait, one quick question, Greg. The only thing there is the tent. There's no outlying buildings or like outlying structures of any kind.
There are a few food stands. So like there are a couple of like empty food stands that are like little, not even kiosks, just basically stands. Other than that, no.
So there's like no like what would be like backstage kind of a thing, like a walled sort of like curtained area, and then back behind that there's more structures, like
No.
more tent structures or
No,
whatever.
but if you may, I'd like you to make a perception check for me, actually, based on that
All right.
question.
Yeah, give me 1 second. And I closed my character sheet by accident. Hold on a second. Not persuasion, sorry. Perception. I would, yeah, a 13.
You do think you see a couple of like bits of canvas and so on the ground, and at first you think they're there sort of randomly, and then you think what it is that these look like tents that are either getting ready to be put up or, maybe more likely, have been taken down. So there may have been more tents and like more structures in the area, but a lot of them seem to be either gone or are in the process of being possibly taken down as you look.
Titus points to the structures being put down and says, if they're closing, if they're not going to perform anymore, I'm not sure being an artist and trying to bond with them as from an artistic standpoint or inspirational standpoint is going to work. More that they may be doing something out of fear or concern, and maybe offering to help without saying we're investigating is the right way to do this.
Perhaps we say that we've heard of them and we're very sorry that we aren't going to be able to get them to perform. Perhaps we can get them talking about why.
Totally. That seems like a make us perspective fans who are going to be very sad. Yes, I agree with that. Totally.
We could be perhaps out of town investors that are looking to help them put on. Now, here's the thing. I guess we will find out soon, but I was under the impression that they are, not circus, although maybe I was wrong, but, drawing artists. But I guess we'll see. But yes, I think we are in unanimity. That's a word, right?
One note, by the way, about the tents, just because I don't want to mislead. These do not look like sort of, wildly colored. I believe I mentioned like circus tents. There are stripes of varying colors, but they're much more muted. You're not sure if that's muted because you're in the underground with this like luminescent light, right? Or whether it's because this is not your sort of standard, but you don't see like any kind of, trapeze like array or anything like that. But I did want to mention that the tents themselves have stripes, but they don't look like jump out of game Cirque du Soleil-esque kind of bright colors, etc.
Okay.
Which is too bad because Cirque du Soleil is great, but that's just
yeah.
What's the light sources out here? Is there more moss? Do they have torches?
There a combination actually. There's a combination actually. Hi Drew, good to see you. Yes, there's a lot of luminescent moss. Also, the lake itself shimmers with a very faintly kind of blue light. And in addition, there are sort of driven into the ground in several spots, in a number of spots actually, these posts on the top of which is this sort of strangely purplish green glowing lantern, which casts light around it. Although the light flickers a bit, and the whole business is not very, as I say, it's bright enough to see, but is not bright enough to like see fine detail, at least for the eyes of a Zek, perhaps.
Okay. Well, shall we?
Yes.
But Malik, I suppose you'll be will you lead the way again?
Okay, so Malik slowly opens up the tent, doesn't want to like startle everybody who's inside, and says, "Hello, is the troop here?"
So when you open the tent, you can see inside there are rows of these tables that are half filled with a lot of like these handcrafted curios and trinkets and stuff like that. Very art festival, right? Like a lot of sort of handcrafted material and sculptures and lamps and stuff. And there are a few paintings that are leaning against the walls. And you can see two creatures inside here. One of them is a small but ground bound creature. Possibly they have their back turned to you, so could be probably is too short for a dwarf. Could be a halfling or a gnome, maybe something like that. And then the other one is another winged creature, sort of flitting from spot to spot, and that is facing away. Some kind of a sprite. You would have to guess because it looks a lot like Bramblestalk or Rel. And they seem to be. One of them, the flying one, has like these little trinkets that they seem to be packing up, like in wrapping and kind of tissue paper type of thing, and then putting in a box. And the other one, who has his back to you at the moment, is holding up a very large painting and seems to be preparing to put like the equivalent of newspaper kind of like around it. And when you say, "Are you the troop?" Both of them stop. And then the one that's down, the ground-bound one, sort of turns around, still holding the painting. And you can see that Null's almost certainly this is a gnome, if you had to guess. And says, "Oh, yes. Please come in. We're closing down, I'm afraid, but you're welcome to take a look and see. My name is Miko, and over there is City." And City says, "Hello." And then she kind of flits around back and forth and seems to be putting things in boxes. And as you look around, you can see there's a lot of boxes here that things are being loaded into.
Well, hello, Miko and City. I'm Nalls. That's Jaraxus, and that's Titus. We're sorry to hear that you're closing down. We've heard so much about you. You have an amazing reputation. We were hoping to see you at work.
This is the gnome responding and says, "Well, I appreciate that. We thought we would be around here a long time too, to be honest, but, things have changed. For one thing, it's hard to run an act without a lot of people, and there's not many of us now, or not as many as there were. Need people for acts, so without them, we kind of can't maintain ourselves, at least for the short term."
Well, weren't you popular? Why did your troop mates leave?
Well, they didn't do it on purpose. At least, I don't think so. And he kind of glances over at City, who she shrugs, and she says, "Who knows? I don't think they went on their own, but I'm not the only one who has the way to, I'm not the only one who makes decisions around here." And kind of like flits back to, filling up the boxes. And Miko kind of rubs the back of his neck. Yes, well, it's been... We don't entirely know what happened. They haven't come back. They've been away or missing or something. I'm sure it's not a problem. They just, perhaps got some wanderlust. It happens.
Well, I'm very sorry to hear that. I know that troops get very close when they work together and bond over their creativity.
That's true. That's one of the sad things. But here today, gone tomorrow. A life of an artist is always variable. I'm sure we'll find some people eventually. Does not look convinced that they will find someone eventually.
When was the last time you saw them? Maybe they'll return and you can keep the act open.
It's been too long now. It's been days, sometimes weeks. How long has it been since not... And then they kind of stop. He stops and... I'm sorry, I shouldn't be talking about this. It's not really
were you about to say
business.
The artist Nia Lestri? We've heard of her work too.
Now make an insight check, Dr. Rexus.
Okay.
That's how they all became circus performers, exactly. Hi, Trippy.
Yes. So it begins. That's a 12.
Yeah, you can't quite read it. That something slightly shifts in the expression when you mention Nihilestri's name, but you can't tell in what direction. You don't know what that means.
Yeah. Other than that, he recognizes the name.
Clearly recognizes the name. And, oh, yes. Well, yes. I mean, the truth is we're here to provide joy. That's what the Karios troupe does. It's joy and beauty to Elisanth. But, well, here we are.
And I'm assuming that Karios is named after a Karios, a leader?
Well, that's right. At least some time ago, although it's been a while. But yes, that was our leader. But well, we've had to adjust and carry on. And you now, as he's been doing this, City, who's been zipping back and forth, has been sort of going faster and faster. You notice until finally, when he says, "Well, we've had to adapt." You hear this push, like this breaking sound, and then you look and you can see City kind of like wings fluttering, and then down below this smashed sculpture of some kind on the floor. And Miko says, "Oh, City, well, you have to be careful." And City says, I don't want to be careful. I don't want any of this. I don't want any of it." And she goes over a table and sits down and folds her arms and sulks.
Can I help you clean this up?
Well, that's all right. I wouldn't want to trouble you, Miko says, and he goes over and grabs a broom and begins to like sweep up. And City is just arms folded, on the table.
Jaraxxus will look at Titus and then walks over towards City. And he says, he sits down across from her, and Jaraxxus says, "We will be honest, this is not the first we've heard of these people disappearing. We've only just arrived in your city, and it seems to be the talk of the town. We came in here because I'm interested in buying some of your work, actually. If I don't know if any of it is for sale, but it seems like the help you all need is finding these people. We're very capable. Is there what do you know? How can we help?"
And she kind of like looks up at you and probably isn't going to matter. Miko will just say no, won't you, Miko? And Miko just sort of sweeps, the floor and doesn't say anything. And City says, it's not going to get better just because you're sweeping. You're cleaning up that mess, not the most important one, are you? And Miko kind of like doesn't say anything. And then City says, look, Neo was a friend of ours. And it's nice that anyone wants to look into her disappearance because the authorities here have been useless. And Miko says, shh, listen, take it easy. You already know what happens. Well, it's not like they're going to do anything terrible to us, but they don't like it when we say it and we'll lose our contract here. We're supposed to be spreading joy, not spreading rumors. And Miko kind of, you notice a little bit of anger with his sweeping as he goes back to it, And City kind of shakes her head with her arms still folded. And she's like, I don't care. I'm glad that someone's looking after it anyway. And she drops her voice. She says, Miko's worried. Ever since, people started disappearing, he's been the one in charge, and he's under pressure. He's really nice, but he doesn't want to make waves, and we're already about to close. So, but I don't want this to keep happening. I don't know what happened to Naya, but she's a nice person, and she doesn't deserve this. And she's a good artist, too. And the authorities, they're useless.
Well, I totally understand Miko's concerns, but nobody should have neglected you and your friends. And it's an awful burden to carry, to wonder what happened to them, knowing that nobody's communicating with you.
Well, that's what I think, and that's what I tried to say. We went to them, I mean, after this first happened, look, I'm just gonna start from the beginning. And Miko kind of looks up and pauses and kind of like drops his broom, puts his broom on the ground and says, City, you know if you're doing this, you're putting the whole troop at risk. And City kind of angrily looks at him and stands up and puts her hands on her hips. And she says, what troop, Miko? What troop exactly? Do you see a troop? I don't see a troop. Do you see a troop? She flies over to you, Titus, like right up to you. Do you see a troop? Like right up, you know, and just sort of like flits in front of you. None of these people see troops. Well, we don't have one anymore. Practically no one. Why? Because they're all gone. And Miko sort of like, his shoulders slump. And you can tell that he looks like he's hurt. Like he sort of is like trying to do the right thing. It's not like I can fly away if I get in trouble. And he kind of sweeps, you know, to the other side of the tent. And City says, sort of sighs like, I shouldn't have said that. And she kind of like blinks. She says, well, look, Naya's the troop's most talented artist. I mean, everyone marveled at the things she used to make. Ceramics, these gorgeous big sculptures. Well, look, you can see one over there. And she points at one piece that hasn't been put away yet. And it looks like these basically two crystals that have been shaped to basically come together, but it's all done in ceramic from what you can tell. This beautiful, lifelike, very realistic representation of these two crystals kind of twisting together. One of the biggest pieces that's in the tent.
There are so many beautiful pieces here. Can you tell me about them? Can you tell me about Naya's work there?
Well, she was into this sort of thing, you need to know. I mean, she loved these kinds of things, like the crystals and some of the mushrooms. She liked to do ceramics of the lake, too. It was really beautiful stuff. And, well, she was 2 weeks ago, and Miko, like, is now angrily sweeping loud enough to be heard on the other end of the tent type of sweeping, okay? Like,
and Null sees that he's worried, so she says, this discussion does not leave this tent.
And Miko doesn't say anything, but the sweeping noise gets a little quieter. And City says, 2 weeks ago, Naya was super excited about something. She said there was something huge that's going to happen, and she couldn't wait, and it was going to be everything, and the troop was going to do great, and it was going to be amazing. But she wouldn't tell us what. And then 10 days ago, she was gone, vanished without a trace. I mean, at first I thought maybe she was going to like find inspiration for her next piece of art, but nothing, not at her home, anywhere else. And then, well, after a day or so, we got worried and we all went to the authorities and they got nothing. That bramble bone, bramble twig brown, bark, garbage, trash. And she just starts like, then starts swearing in some language that none of you are familiar with. But clearly it's, not meant for all ages, if you know what I mean. And she says, I don't know. Look, I can't prove anything, but I think Bramblestock is slow-footing this. I mean, he's just waiting. He's hoping that we're going to leave or go out of business or do something, and then he doesn't need to solve it. And Miko says from the other side of the tent, you don't know that, City. You've got to stop acting like that. You could get us in trouble. Trouble. That's what we need, is more trouble. What kind of trouble was Naya ever going to get into? None. And she got whatever happened to her. She kind of trails off.
City, were the other members of your troop that disappeared, were they also excited about something before they left?
Well, that's the problem. No, not excited exactly. 4 days ago, the rest of our troop was so demoralized, they just couldn't sit here and do nothing. And so a few of them went looking for Naya. And, well, Bramblestock told us that a couple of his officers found the body of one of us along the lakeshore. But the other two, they haven't been seen since, and there's nobody left. We're the last two in the troop until we disappear too. Not that it'll matter to some of us. And she kind of glares at Miko, who is very occupied with his sweeping again.
You mentioned Naya's excitement, and she loved doing pieces around the crystals and the mushrooms. Did they speak to her?
No, I don't know. I mean, she was kind of well, dreamy a little bit. But frankly, well, a lot of the Twilight Elves are like that. It has something to do with being down here. They're always sort of talking about the place beyond and the void and the bridge and all these other things. I don't know. It's like people who try to tell the future, but they don't really know it. So they just say a lot of vague things that don't mean anything. And then you spend a lot of money and right. You know, people like this.
City, can I ask you something a little strange?
Sure.
Do you think that crystal sculpture over there is meant to be prophetic? Could it actually have come out of one of Naya's dreams?
And she kind of looks over and, gosh, I don't know. I never really thought of it that way. I mean, if she was having prophecies or whatever in her dreams, she never told us. She was just always kind of, a little quiet, a little to herself, but everybody liked her though. But she never talked about the stuff that she dreamed about, or this just happened. She kind of shrugs helplessly in the direction of the sculpture.
Well, dreams are one of my currencies. Maybe I could connect with it, see if there was something there, something that came up from out of her dreams that led her on.
Oh, I guess you could try. There's no danger in it, I suppose. Sure. You could just go over there. Just make sure you don't knock it over or anything, or, well, I could get in trouble. Miko's already mad enough at me. Hi, Hobbit in training. Hello, good to see you.
Well, maybe I don't have to touch it. I can just get within its presence.
Oh, that seems like a good idea. Sure, just be careful. I don't know what that involves, but of course you could do that. That's fine. I have some more packing up to do anyway.
Okay, so Nulls is going to approach the sculpture
okay.
and not touch it, but put her hands in front of it, see if she can feel any energy there.
I'm going to ask you to make a wisdom check for me, please, Nalik.
Okay, wisdom on the not saving throws.
Not saving throw, but above that, just like the big number for wisdom.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
So we're looking at 11. You don't really get any sensation of you don't really get any feeling of contact with anything, Nulls. It's possible because this whole area is a little dreamlike. The whole city of Celis, since you've been here, has felt that way. There's a little bit of that kind of sort of floating around maybe in your mind's eye, but you don't get anything that suggests anything specifically psychically connected or magical or anything obvious that seems to be coming from the statue. No, you do not feel radiation with your hand falling off, Proxima.
So is Nulls going to have to actually touch it?
You don't think it's about that, Nulls. No, you don't think that it's something about proximity. It doesn't really register. The reason I'm being a little vague is that the area around, just in the general vicinity of the park and indeed this city, feels vaguely magical to you and sort of strange, but this statue doesn't particularly seem to radiate anything.
So since she's not picking up anything there, she's going to call the city and say, what other works here are Naya's?
Oh, well, the thing is, that was the last one that we had that we haven't sold. All of her stuff sold super well. This one, well, after everything happened, we didn't sell anything else. We didn't think it would be right, and now I don't know. We'll bring it with us somehow. I don't know how we're going to fit everything, but it just didn't seem right. But everything else has already been sold a while ago. Like I said, she was pretty popular.
Jaraxxus will... Oh, yeah. Jaraxxus will look over at Nalik when City says this, and Jaraxxus will say, did Naya ever mention a Elu Whisperwind?
and she says, Elu,
We know an Elu who actually says that they were best friends growing up.
oh, really? I mean, I've heard of the Whisper Winds, but not really. I mean, Naya didn't talk much about her own personal life, honestly. Just, vague references to things that were going to happen or wouldn't happen, or it was all a little bit odd, but nothing specific.
If you'd have trouble taking all of this stuff, I'm sure that Elu would love to have something that reminds her of her friend. And it would stay in the city too. If you wish to go talk to her and take it back, you could, but we could take it to the Whisper Winds.
Oh, well, I appreciate that. I don't think... And then she goes, oh, wait, I know. And then she flits off and rumbles, rustles through this box. And we get the classic, not it, flying objects like coming out of it. Although most of these seem to be not of the breakable variety. And then she says, okay, here we go. I packed it in the middle of other more sort of safe stuff. And she pulls out what looks like this sort of fairly small, maybe the size of, size of to jump out of a game smartphone, right? Ceramic unicorn is what it looks like. And she says, this is something she had done not that long before. I was going to keep it because it really wasn't worth much. And, like I said, we kind of were, I miss her. Miko does too, even if he doesn't admit it. And anyway, I wanted to keep something to remember her by. So you can have this. It sounds like it might do you more good than it's going to do us, especially if you can figure out who did this. And who took her and where she is, why she left, or if someone kidnapped her, or whatever the reason.
The big sculpture that's already been out, is that like, how big is that?
It's like probably 6 feet. Okay. It's a very good size, yeah.
All right. So yeah, Duraxis will walk forward and he'll take the unicorn and thank her.
Okay.
And Nulls whispers in Duraxis's ear, do you feel anything coming off that?
Do I feel anything coming off it?
Can you specify the anything? Like anything what?
Spiritual energy.
Spiritual energy.
When I touch the unicorn, do I suddenly
or just
have
energy?
A vision of every possible timeline,
or just energy?
Yeah, exactly.
The unicorn of truth.
Light pours out of your face
everywhere all at once moment. It's the
vibration.
Yeah.
Throbbing.
Let me have you make let's have a perception check for this.
All right.
Perceive, baby.
4.
Oh.
This is definitely,
Nice.
You know what? This is definitely a unicorn. You have heard rumors of the unicorn, and almost certainly, you're almost positive now, definitely made of ceramic material.
Like, can I take it from him?
I can give it to you.
Can I see that? Oh,
just don't break it.
That's very lovely. Can I try and see if I get anything of it?
Sure.
Perception again?
Yes, perception.
Okay. Come on, perception. Yeah. Good grief.
You also know, beyond just it being a unicorn and made of ceramic, this is unquestionably has been done for artistic purposes, Nulls. Like, definitely this was a piece of art.
It's not a practical unicorn. It's an artistic.
No, it's an artistic
Hey, Titus, have you seen this?
Let's all vibe check the unicorn. Yep.
Oh, man.
No. No. I'll give it a try, I guess. And
Go ahead.
Titus will hold on to it.
That's perfect. I just imagine a shot of like all three of us holding the unicorn at the same time, looking down at it.
Like clustered around it.
Well, wait a minute. Time out. Is Fob here, like with us in the background somewhere? Can
in the shadows? I mean,
yes.
You know.
So Fob can also look at this wonderful unicorn.
All four of us.
I just want to point out, if we could just get a moment of the visual of Fob. So a lizard folk, a Zek, a human bard, and then a Dendus standing around this thing in the middle of this like artist's like this is very Burning Man, okay? Like
yeah, 100%.
When the moon is in the 7th house. This is very like, you know, fifth dimension.
I rolled a performance, so screw that. Perception is 12.
Perception is 12.
What else? What else sarcastically can you tell me about this unicorn?
I was gonna say, I mean, beyond that, you also know that this clearly was designed for portability. So you know, it's something that you can bring with you.
We've
to different
learned a
places.
lot.
Okay,
it's a portable,
so Fob
artistic
is
ceramic
going to
unicorn.
Fob out of the shadows and Fob over to the sculpture.
Okay. Which of course, so Miko and City, because this like just emerges from behind a, you know, like a big.
They're with us. It's okay.
Like Fob comes out from the two like crystalline structure, you know, whatever, the ceramic of the crystal. Okay. So I'll need a perception from whoever is Jaegering Fob.
I can do it.
Okay.
That's a 23.
Holy crap!
Oh my god!
So Fob takes
Fob
it, just
is
goes back
fobbing to the sculpture and vibing with Fobness.
So while all of you were trying to like think about the vibe and everything, like Fob is like, and like turns it over, and on the base of this thing, you can see a thing which says S dot and then lowercase o dot and then uppercase S.
Say that again.
Capital S dot lowercase o. I wanted to specify that this does not look like SOS in the classic sense.
She's calling for help.
That's why the lower O, does not look like that. So S dot O dot and then capital S, like in a diagonal, like S O lowercase capital again S, on the base of this thing. And Fob is like, you know.
Oh, does Fob show this to us?
I would imagine. I mean, tell me if I'm wrong, Draxus, since you're Zach, since you're Jaegering, but I imagine she would be like, look at this, or they would be like, look at this.
Yeah.
And I say, Sanctum of Spirits.
Fob like nods and then like.
Thank you, Fob. Thank you.
So you did say, City, that we could have this.
Oh yeah, absolutely. If it'll be of any good.
It's quite lovely, and you know, goodness is in the eye of the beholder, and I say it's art.
Okay, just be careful though, because it would be a shame if it broke. And also, and she kind of like, you know, lowers her voice. Please try to find Naya. I mean, I know Miko feels really bad. That's why he's so grumpy, because he feels like all of this is on him. But it's not his fault. He just, well, we all miss her. We miss everybody in the troupe. But Naya was kind of the heart and soul. Without her, and she just kind of trails off.
Titus will finally speak up and address her and ask the question. Did she have a benefactor, patron, a fan who bought all of her or most of her works?
Oh, that's a good question. No, I don't think so. Although I know that there were, well, definitely nobles that came in every so often and bought things. And there were sometimes they had their servants come and buy stuff for them. I don't think there was any one in particular. At least I'm not sure. She used to spend some time away from the troupe, in between, you know, exhibits and things. She would go different places, usually within the city, and, well, I don't know all that much. Like I said, she was pretty quiet about things outside of the artist troupe, but, well, Karios was at its best with her. That's all I know.
Mm-hmm. What? We're new to the city, obviously. What is the Sanctum of Spirits? We've heard about this place a few times now. It sounds interesting.
Yeah, the Sanctum of Spirits. Well, it's this special place. It's got an arch, and there are these runes in it. And some people say that you can actually connect with places beyond. It's always kept under very strict control, though. Only some people can come, and only at certain times. But it's really, really neat. There's been a couple times where I've been able to go inside it, although they were watching me the whole time like a hawk, as if I was going to do something to it. But it's worth going to see, definitely. Although, well, I just don't have the heart to go see things right now with poor Naya and the rest.
Titus will give her what would be a Zek version of an empathetic look and say, have you honored your friends, the ones that have gone, especially the one whose body was found?
Oh yes, we had a ceremony for the one who was lost, the one that they found rather. But the other ones, we haven't honored them yet because we're still trying to find them. I'm trying to. We are all trying to, but I kind of got to the point where I was going to give up. I didn't know what else to do. I thought the authorities would help, and they just haven't. I don't want her to be dead.
Can you
We
tell us
don't want
more
her to be
about
dead either.
Go ahead. What did you say, Tyson?
Can you tell us more about the body? Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Titus wants to know about the dead person and what they did with the body. Basically, did they follow the rituals?
I don't know. I know that we were part of the ceremony when the final burial happened. It usually happens in the lake. They're brought out on a boat, and then the boat is sunk in the middle of the lake. But we definitely saw it was her. I could see her face for sure. The one that we lost, the one that was found and that was dead. So I know it was her. But they didn't tell us like what killed her. They refused to. They said that it was serious business, part of an investigation. They were not even going to let us actually. They weren't even going to let us bury the body, and then, I don't know what happened, but someone must have convinced them because suddenly they changed their tune. It wouldn't surprise me if somebody higher up knew it looked bad for them to keep telling us not to bury her, and so they let us do it finally. It was nice, actually.
Is there a reason why you won't use her name?
And she kind of sighs and she says, there's a tradition in the artist troupe. When someone passes on, their mortal name doesn't matter. All that matters is the art they left behind and the people they touched. We remember her, but telling you her name doesn't really make sense to us because, it was in her art that she lives on and the connections she made. But that's why I keep saying Naya's name, because Naya's not dead. And so it's not like that yet. And kind of looks over angrily at Mikos, who at this point is just sort of like has stopped sweeping and just has his kind of head on top of the handle and is sort of staring off to the wall.
Jaraxis says, we didn't mean for this to become such a grim and stressful visit. I, as a traveler I'm a investor in the arts, and I was wondering if I could maybe, as we leave, buy a piece from both of you. I'm curious to see what your arts look like, and then I will admit an interest, if there is any that remains, in the arts of the troupe member that died as well.
Oh yes. Sure. And so she zips over to where there's like a little tarp that's covered over, her specific area apparently, and she sort of like pulls it up and she brings over these small but gorgeously decorated like little teacup saucers and stuff like that. But at first you're like, oh, it's a kid's toy. But then you look and you're like, the decoration level is just spectacular. Like this wildly intricate, like flower, work and all this stuff that's sort of around the edge of this. And she says,
it's like a tea set. Almost.
Yeah, exactly. But like and functional, like, I mean, it's small, but functional. It could be used in a ceremony. But this is something you would not feel embarrassed to use in a hypothetical tea ceremony, right? Like it looks spectacular. And she's like, oh, this is one of my newer ones. I do a lot of stuff like this, like decoration. They call it sometimes in books. I do. They call it illumination, like just around like the outside of the pages and stuff. I'm pretty good at that, and because I'm small, I can come up with some pretty fine detail. And if you look at the right light, and she kind of like shyly says, can I show you?
No, please.
So she brings it over to where there's one of those luminescent kind of mushrooms, I should say moss really, that's covering a stone that's sitting on one of the tables. And she puts it next to the light. And in the light, you see the exterior of this saucer with the flowers. The flowers are spiraling around themselves, moving as you watch in the light. And then she pulls it out again and she smiles at you. Unquestionably was moving, there's no doubt about it.
This is surely priceless, but if you had to part with it...
Oh, that whole thing? And she kind of says, well, it's... drink. And she kind of mumbles it.
No, be proud of your art. I would be.
And Miko says, tell them how much it costs. You know your art's good. And City kind of glares again. And 3 gold.
Mm-hmm. All right. Then Jaraxxus turns to look at Miko and says, that's on the table. We'll come back to that. I point at the tea set. Miko, do you have anything for sale as well? I'll start a tab here. And
Miko nods and he says, well, all right. I suppose that's fair enough. And he goes over to another place that's covered with a tarp, and he lifts the tarp off, and for a moment you feel like you're looking at his identical twin brother. Like you're looking at you're looking at him, and then you realize when it's not moving that it's a statue, but it's a spectacularly detailed, like lifelike statue.
But made of stone or marble?
It is made of what
or
looks
is this like a Miss Madame Tussauds like wax? Like it literally looks like him.
No, you think this might have been made of ceramic.
Wow.
Yep.
That's crazy.
Wow, that's crazy,
I say.
And he says, well, is that... Thank you, I think. Is that...
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, then.
No, it'd probably be a little inconvenient to... It's not very portable. I mean,
No, it wouldn't have been very portable. But it's actually... well, you can see for yourself, and he kind of gestures as if to say you can lift it.
I lift it.
How... Now, question. Is this one of those, like... Are you preparing yourself like, lower back, like, you got the weight belt around your middle? Like, are you, like,
no,
how are you
maybe
looking?
A medium lift? Like he's he doesn't seem like he doesn't overestimate it. I think Jaraxxus just lifts it like he's expecting something to be under the statue. So and he knows it's ceramic, so he'll be careful.
When you lift it, it goes like this. And then you're like, it's shockingly light. And probably hollow in the inside, you would guess, but very light, and yeah. And there is nothing under the statue.
Jaraxxus says, "This is your prime piece that you want to sell?"
Well, yes. The other ones are sort of unfinished. I do statues like this, not just of me, but of many people. I do commissions. I could do one of you, but it would, well, the troop
Take some time.
Yeah, and the troop's not going to be here probably now, and he kind of trails off.
How long would the statue like this take?
And he sort of like thinks about it. Probably a few days, maybe a week, I would think. Side note, Draxus, I mean, for however much you know about art, I mean, this is easily the equal, just in terms of the perfection of the sort of the mimicry, right, inside the statue. This is like, you're not sure that you've seen a more accurate representation of something than this. So like a few days, a week.
Yeah. Draxus says, would you need me to like I need to be your reference, right?
Well, yes, that's true. You need to sit for something, well, maybe about an hour or two, just so I could get kind of a reference sketch, and then...
I have an idea. I promise we'll get going now. I'll propose this to you as I finish the last thing. Do you have any work of art from the troop member that was that passed on?
Yes. It's kind of embarrassing, though. The last one that we had, and he kind of glances down at the pieces of the thing he's been sweeping up.
Oh, I'll still take it, if I can.
Well, I mean, it's just pieces, though. You sure?
Yeah, I know many people. I'm sure someone could fix it.
I don't know. I want to point out, by the way, this is broken into approximately 752 pieces. I'm just joking, but it is smashed McSmashed face. But that said, you could certainly, that's fine.
Draxus will say, yeah, no, it's fine.
Okay.
I'll take it.
So he says, well, all right, I guess I can give it to you in this bag. And he's got the little dustpan ready to, knock the stuff in the bag.
All right. How much would you ask for it?
Well,
and then how much also to commission you?
Oh, well, as far as this is concerned, well, it probably would have been, I don't know, what do you think, City? Like maybe 2 or 3 gold, but as it is, it's broken. I don't know, 5 silver?
All right.
And as for me, well, it depends on whether it's a rush job. If I need to get it to you in a few days, then I'd have to move you ahead of some others. In that case, probably it would be something like, maybe 10 gold. If there's less time, then, or rather more time, then maybe 5 or 6 gold, something like that.
Great. Yes, I think we'll do all of that. And between the both of you, I'll throw in an extra gold each. So 15 gold, it sounds like, roughly, and 5 silver.
Thank you. Yes,
that's
right.
I'll take the tea set, and I'll tell you what, Miko, we are staying at the Whisperwind Estate. Why don't you come by tonight or tomorrow morning so that you can get my reference?
Oh, yeah. That of course, yeah. I'll do that. We as soon as I can. I mean, tomorrow, just because we have to finish packing up and all. But but certainly yes. And thank you. And he sort of seems somewhat cheered up, although still, not wholly, So, do any of the rest of you have anything else for City or Mikos, or have you got what you needed? Miko, not Mikos, sorry.
Titus is going to ask a parting question, which is, where are you packing up and going to?
Well, that's a good question. We have to leave here, but I don't know exactly. I thought we might head into some of the other districts, or maybe even try to get to some of the outlying areas beyond the city, but that's probably a fool's game. Who's going to have money to be able to pay for the art out there? And I know that you can't survive on exposure. Fourth wall break, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Draxus coughs.
Yes.
Woo. But no, he says, but that's at least what we're thinking right now. I don't really know for sure. All I know is I'm trying to take it one day at a time. With only 2 of us. He just trails off.
Is there anything in the tent that we have not seen yet?
So there are plenty of little pieces and stuff like that, a lot of which is covered in the tarp. If you want, or tarps and, like sheets and stuff. If you wanted to see all of them, it would take a while, like, a good hour or 2 to see everything. But you've seen all of the stuff from the particular people that seem to have, that you were referring to, that you seem to have found all of their stuff.
Okay, so there's nothing else of particular interest in the tent.
I mean, I don't want to say for sure. I mean, that's sort of up to you. But in terms of the people that you know as being principals in this, no, you don't think so.
Okay, so Malls will say, I'm very sorry for the loss of your troop mates, and we will do everything in our power to get them back.
And Miko sort of nods and says, well, thank you, and good luck, and just be careful. And City says, yes, thank you. Well, people who like art, they're good people, and I think you'll find something. I just have a good feeling about it. And she kind of nods and seems to have a smile on her face for the first time. And with that, you folks are able to leave the tent if you wish. Where are you headed?
Well, we have a few leads which would take us back west. The Sanctum of Spirits, and I really think we should visit Naya's home. The thought occurred to me of that troop member that was killed, which is very fishy, is also very literally fishy now because it's in the lake where she was buried. I was like, maybe we could go for a swim, but does not seem like it would be simple to find. And if we did, there's probably hundreds of other bodies down there.
Well, maybe Naya's home first, since she is the one who gave us the hint about the Sanctum of Spirits, and apparently it's heavily guarded. So, if we go to her place first, perhaps we learn how we can get through the Sanctum of Spirits without too much bother.
Mm-hmm. That is...
Can we get reminded what the note said again?
The note said Shannon, Sanctum of Spirits. So that's yet another thing pointing us towards the SOS.
But no time, no designation other than just that name. Okay.
I think so.
All right.
That's right.
Maybe a contact. It's either someone that went missing or someone that will help us. That's my thought.
Or someone who's just in know.
Mm-hmm. And maybe will help us. I don't know. All right. Well, back to towards Naya's place then.
As you were chatting, and you get to the edge of the field, I'd like to know, what is everyone's passive perception?
12 is mine.
Okay.
12 is mine as well.
Mine is 16.
Okay. So, and Fobs, by the way, are you able to see on that?
Yeah, I can. Bob's is also 16.
Okay. So, Jaraxxus and Titus, you are, walking along, as you're getting to the edge of the field. Nulls and Fob, I would say you probably sense more than see something out of your kind of peripheral vision. And as you turn in that direction, you see coming out, sort of just like leaping out from behind one of the mushrooms, there is someone dressed in all black, barely visible, kind of in the dim, luminescent, moss light, and leaps forward towards the unsuspecting Jaraxxus. At the same time, I would say Fob sees on the other side another identically dressed person to the one that I've just described leap out and towards an unsuspecting Titus. And behind them, striding out from the mushroom, striding is not the right word, leaping out, let's say, from behind this sort of tall mushroom, is someone dressed in a dark cloak with some strange shimmering symbols. They carry on them a curved dagger, from the tip of which drips something strange. And that's where we're going to bring our session to a close.
Well, I think I might know who these dudes are. I'm gonna keep that to myself, though.
Someone's gotten too close.
Yes, we have. No, they're after us for our art that I just bought.
Exactly. Give me the art.
Yeah.
If you don't want us, you don't know what real art is.
It's funny.
Yes, I am very pleased. So we're going to be starting out with a little bit of some combat and some more mystery. See, somebody did die, so maybe there is a murder.
Yeah.
You know if it's murder or if it's just death or something.
Death mystery.
This was a lot of fun, though, to watch you folks go through this. And in case people are curious, it's because normally we go like 7:30 to 10:30, and since we're starting at 8:30, I didn't want to go way over for these folks. But we are going to be back next year, hopefully with the whole group. By which I mean next month with the whole group, and fight followed by some investigation. We shall see. But this was a lot of fun to watch, and I also really well role played. I loved the visual image of the four of you, the three of you that are here, but using Fob as well, sort of looking around the inside of this tent and basically interacting with, these art festival people, like these independent artists. Support independent artists. That's really the key. That's the key. And I really enjoyed the way that you all handled that. And of course, we're gathering some information from Bramblestock as well, and then just from the way that you manage the two artists who were kind of at the end of their rope and with no troop left, right? And they're just sort of like, what are we going to do now? I really enjoyed watching that kind of unfold. And so as I head back to the cams only, I will ask first, starting on the bottom right with Zach. Zach, really good stuff from Jaraxxus. I love the idea. I think you all had agreed you were going to get silently agreed that you were going to get some art from these folks one way or the other, but all of you in different ways sort of were handling different aspects of this. There was also the whole thing with the orbs and the things moving inside the orbs and all that was an interesting little tidbit as well that some of you picked up on. So my question to you, Zach, as it often is how did you feel about the session? Anything stand out for you, and where will the lovely folks find you next?
I'm always very excited to see the map and all that stuff, and cool reminder that this is an officially published module that we're running through.
Mm-hmm, that's
very
right.
Cool.
It's not out yet, but it will be. It was official.
That we're getting a preview of, basically, for the first run at, and that's exciting. And yeah, starting to see more of this city and experience it through these characters, and by these characters I mean the NPCs that we meet.
Yeah.
And yeah, very interesting. I think the dynamic between the three of us developing, and Jaraxxus, of course, has plans for the art that you'd like to think are benevolent, but probably aren't. What's at the forefront of Jaraxxus's mind all the time is celebrity,
it's about
his
clicks,
followers.
right?
It's about clicks.
Yeah.
So how could he use that to his advantage? That's what he's
I always
thinking,
believe
that's
in indigenous art, as you can see.
Yes, yeah. Yeah, he'll that will come out at some point when probably 100 sessions from now, when he's back out in space
and stuffs it in a space museum.
Yeah, exactly. It belongs in a museum.
No, space museum. No, this is perfect merch. Are you kidding me? The art from distant planetary artists. It's going to be crazy, especially if they watch the accompanying video series that will be released. So yeah, that's the plan. Anyway, yeah, a lot of fun, pleasure. I'm always excited too for
a super heavy roleplay session, then followed by combat. Really exciting for next time. So yeah, I look forward to playing next year. And until then, people will find me on find me back on this channel, maybe it's some capacity sometime soon. I don't know.
Maybe a weekish, who knows?
Maybe in a week.
Yeah.
I will somehow find a way to be on Arv's channel for some reason that you'll find out about. And then for our vocalists, which is our monthly voice acting extravaganza where we voice games, we're going to have to figure out our next game.
Mm-hmm.
And then on my own Twitch, every Thursday, I'm playing through the very first Divinity Original Sin with my friend Maddie, who is the same person that did the art for my emotes. And otherwise out on the internet in places that are linked just above. So yeah, that's me. Happy to be here.
Good stuff. Thanks, Zach. It was great stuff. And yes, again, make sure, folks, that you are here for my Game of the Year show and around that weekend, just to see if Zach may appear in some context with that awesome new emote. Always a pleasure to have Zach with us. Also, we will have Kat back with us, we hope, next month. And back with Fob, who made a memorable, if quick cameo appearance in this way as we had it. But you should definitely get all of Kat's books and all that kind of good stuff. And we'll have Kat back with us, hopefully, as I say, next month. Moving right out to Toya. Toya, you took point on a couple of these sort of negotiations / discussions. I was really interested in particular with Null's managing the artists and how they all worked, because I got the impression. Oh, and I also forgot to mention, I love the idea that all of you kept passing around this ceramic unicorn with like crappy perceptions that got slightly less crappy. So you're just kind of like, oh look, until Fob is like, look at this thing at the bottom.
I was gonna get the info on that unicorn.
Yeah, at some point. No, I know.
I was gonna get it.
But I really like the way that you were dealing with the artists and the sort of the typical deep vibe that we like about Nulls. But there was, again, it's interesting. There's always a sense of Null seems to genuinely be interested in the creatures around her, but at the same time is also keenly trying to get info. Like, you always get the impression that like this is gathering info, even though it seems like it's just Nulls being awesome vibe-based Nulls. And I was really enjoying watching that kind of play out today. How did you feel about how all was playing out? How'd you feel about today, and where will the folks find you next?
Well, what I always find really interesting is the things that all of us seem to be on the same track with. Like, we're all thinking of doing it. For example, like, I wanted to get my hands on their art as well, and Jiraxis made sure to buy it.
Mm-hmm.
But then, like, the things that I don't think about, like the things I don't look to inspect or to ask about, like, Titus asking specifically about the ritual, and that giving us information that, okay, something strange happened here. But I also liked getting clues and being able to piece things together, so that we really have, like, the Sanctum of Spirit seems to be end game here with whatever's going on, and we're going to need to piece together how to maneuver around that. So that sounds like a lot of fun. I'm really looking forward to that. Again, I am not active on the interwebs, but if you ever need an editor, you can find me at schnoodlemedia.com. I have also written several books about writing video games and being a game writer in the industry, so you can support me by buying my stuff.
Which you definitely should do. Toya is well worth supporting in all regards. Thank you, Toya. Very excited to see how things come up next month. And Happy New Year and Happy Holidays, by the way, if I don't see you until next month. Moving right along to Johnny. Johnny, it was good to have you back in the fold again, and hanging out with us. Again, I didn't tell you this last time. Also, Aklaba, I don't know. I wanted to say that last session, a lot of the people were, a lot of the players kept being like, when you weren't there, they were like, and then Titus, and I think it was Toyo did this first, was kind of like, yeah, well, I was doing the exact like Titus voice, and I was just like, damn, man, like you people have become invested in the Titus voice. I really do like the way that Titus's voice, in a way, distracts from Titus's intelligence. And I don't mean it's a dumb voice. I mean, it's a voice which is very distinctive, but you always get the impression that stuff is always clicking for Titus, like the idea of like, what about this? What are the implications of this? What might this mean? And so, yeah, the idea of sort of picking up on what might be there for a ritual and all that stuff, combined with this sense that, like, you know, you all want to like save the people of Celis because, you know, you need their help, but also because you're like, well, something bad is going on. You just got that impression that there was a lot of that going on behind the surface with all of the questions that Titus was asking too, which I thought was cool. So how did you feel about today's session yourself, and where will the fine folks see you next?
I'm really liking the traditional sort of murder mystery thing that we got going on here. You know, the investigation part. It's not always that they show up in games and campaigns, so it's always fun when they do. So I'm having a lot of fun watching the sort of the cogs, you know, kind of like turn for everybody as we're doing this. So it's going to be interesting to see how this chapter of this particular story sort of ends up. I think we need to spend more time with a constable personally. And I think Rel is our way in on that one. You, the fine folks, will find me here next month. Things are shifting and changing. I might be changing locales again finally to get back to California. I've talked about it a bunch of times, but it seems like there's a plan in place to be back probably February 1st. And if I'm not back February 1st, soon thereafter. So I'm looking forward to that. Otherwise, yeah, I'll be here for now.
Good stuff. And I also want to thank, since this is our last session of the year, I want to thank all three of these folks, and Kat as well, but the three folks who are here tonight, because I've really, really enjoyed watching the chemistry and the thoughtfulness of each of these players as they go through it, and also, and for surprising me on a number of occasions in a positive way. The inclusion of Gamork, for example, and all these sorts of things have been stuff that the party really developed completely on their own. It was their own idea, and so I really have enjoyed watching them play it. It makes it just as fun for me as anyone else to see how things are going to play out. So thank you to the amazing crew of Expedition for the Mysterious Peaks. Can we get some love from chat for the awesome and amazing Johnny Pippin, the awesome and amazing Toya Kristen Finley, and the awesome and amazing Zach Clay? Good stuff, players. Wonderful work, and I will see you back here in 2024 for more Expedition. Bye.
Thanks, everybody.
For now.
Happy New Year.
Bye. Happy New Year, everybody. Happy holidays.
Good stuff from everybody. All right. And thank you, by the way, the conversation that's been happening, which I have been watching while I was also hanging with the crew. Thank you, everybody, for the kind words and the positive vibes, which is something that I really appreciate. Yeah, I mean, you know, D&D is my favorite game. I've been DMing for many, many, many years. 30, what is it now? Probably started in 80. I played D&D for the first time in 6th grade. I didn't know what the hell I was doing. But I started DMing probably when I was in like 8th grade or 9th grade. So probably like 1984, 1985. So probably it's been closing in on, it's like 38 years that I've been DMing probably. And I've been playing D&D for over 40, which is kind of mind-blowing. But yeah, I love it. I love the game. And in this case, of course, I love all of the different role-playing games that I've been exposed to, including this one. This one is 5e compatible, but it's also just as compatible with Esper Genesis. And it's cool to have that kind of mashup capability, you know, where you've got both the space, science fiction, and also the fantasy stuff going on. It's been great. And I'm very excited for more. My particular love here is not just the chemistry of the players, but in particular, how awesome they're doing at sort of melding with the world, which I really love this world. It's really a lovely mix of magic and science fiction, of fantasy and science fiction, and there's just a little bit of kind of mystery that sort of plays underneath it, which I think is really cool. So I'm really digging it, and I'm glad you folks are as well. It sounds like. So anyway, that warms the cockles of my heart. So thank you, everybody, and thank you, Hobbit, for all the positive things that said, and thanks, Drew, for the compliments. I appreciate that. And by the way, if you like all of this D&D stuff that we do, not only do we have all the campaigns on my channel, but let me remind you all that on January 26th, so that is 1 month and about 4 days, basically 1 month and 4 days from now, January 26th, I am going to be with the amazing CSE Cooney and Carlos Hernandez and Zach Clay, you might have heard of him, and Adam Petrosino, the high school student who won the essay contest last year, is now a freshman at Sacred Heart University, and Brandon Crilly, my friend from Canada, fantasy author, fellow Athos Arts author as well. They are going to be joining us January 26th for the event at the historic Klein Memorial Auditorium in Bridgeport, Connecticut. I'm very excited about that. So if you were anywhere in the tri-state area in the Northeast United States, that is free to attend. I'd love to see any or all of you there. There's going to be a little sort of special like mini con happening before the event as well in the lobby. And of course, we're also going to have it streamed, live streamed on the channel too. So I hope you'll stop by for that. That's a live in person in front of a big audience thing. We did this for ArvCon earlier this year, but we've got even more going on with this new live event, which is going to be from an adventure that I ran, that I wrote and ran from my Tales and Tomes from the Mysterious Library, from the Forbidden Library rather, called Return to the Forbidden Library. That's going to be running on January 26th. If you like this sort of thing, you definitely might want to stop by for that. Otherwise, though, I'm going to be back at you lovely folks tomorrow, Saturday night, when I'm going to be playing some more Starfield. We're making some major progress there, which is going to be good stuff. Oh, I'm going to get to that, Drew. I'm going to talk about that in just a minute. But that also is going to be happening. Starfield happening tomorrow, so you'll definitely want to join us for that. And then next week, I'll be back with a big holiday week of streaming. We'll be streaming with a family on Christmas Day. On Tuesday, I'll have the chat chosen game of the month, which is Dungeon Siege, and then I'll be over on GOG.com's Twitch channel finishing up Solasta, Palace of Ice, and doing a little bit of Tintin Cigars of the Pharaoh. And then Friday of a week from today, we're going to be doing the Game of the Year show, in which there may be some people happening also, so you may want to stop by for that. So we'll have that going on, and then on Saturday will be the final tabletop role-playing session of the year on this channel, and that will be Eberron, Oracle of War, happening on December 30th. So that's going to be the deal with that. Now, as Drew mentioned, January, I'll talk more about this a week from now on the Game of the Year show, but next year is going to be a big year for the channel. We've got a bunch of stuff going on. In addition to the Eberron, Oracle of War, Expedition from the Mysterious Peaks, we have launching for the first time Session 1 of Beowulf, which is going to be that duet system with Tari Tunes and Tren. We did that Session 0 a few days ago. Session 1 is going to be beginning with Tari Tunes, so that's going to be happening, premiering next month. Also premiering is going to be something else that I can't talk about yet, but there's something that, if you stop by in about a week from now, you may hear more about. In addition to all of that, and also over on GOG.com's Twitch channel, Ghosts of Saltmarsh and Talisman Adventures, as that campaign winds down. But we will also have, of course, the premiere of the Community D&D Dragon Heist campaign with Shadowed Mage as your DM and starring the amazing Drew the Damager, Hoodie, also known as OMG a Truck, Echo Alpha X5, a regular in this channel, of course, and then two folks who are not new to the channel, but new to this particular game. One of them is Yoi Gawain Lin. He was the one who's been involved with a lot of the Speculate Strange Friends stuff that we've done on this channel before. And also Tilted Gaming, who is a longtime regular on this channel, is going to be playing as well. That back and forth prep for that campaign has been fast and furious. It's been fun to watch the discussion in the green room, and it's going to be pretty awesome. So CD&D is coming back. Yeah, I know. Get yourself ready. Community D&D is coming back back, and you'll definitely want to see these people involved. It's going to be great. I'm super honored to be able to host it on the channel. That's going to be premiering Wednesdays, and I think it's 2 Wednesdays a month, I think is the plan, but that's going to be premiering next year, January 2024 as well. So a lot of good stuff happening in January, a lot of good stuff happening in 2024, about which more in about a week during our Game of the Year, end of the year, prep for the next year wrap-up show. So yeah, very excited about all of that. Right now, though, I'm going to rise up on out and get heading off here. I'm going to do a little bit of reading and stuff before I head off to bed. But before I do that, I do want to double check, because we are going to do a raid today. Raids are very simple here. If you are not a sub, you're going to do this. The Arvanauts have landed, followed by Twitch raid. That's lowercase Twitch, uppercase R, lowercase AID. If you are a sub, you are going to do this when you were brought over, and that's just basically a bunch of Arvany emotes. Arvany hype, Arvany roar, Arvany witch, Arvany woe, Arvany love, Arvany blown, Arvany smug, Arvany crit hit, Arvany rave, Arvany sing, all the Arvanys when you are brought over there auto-magically when we actually go and do the raid. So please head over and do that raid, and then feel free to head off after that. It's good for the channel we raid, it's good for us, so please do that. That would be lovely. Otherwise, please do follow the channel. Check out our YouTube at !ArvTube, and thank you again to all of those who joined us during the course of the session. I saw there were some people watching on and off, so thank you so much. Please do subscribe to the YouTube channel. It's free to do that, and please make sure that you watch again on YouTube and comment over there, and please feel free to join us on the Twitch channel as well. Discord, speaking of Discord, is !ArvCord. Please join us there. Twitter is !ArvTweets, and my Blue Sky is !ArvSky. That's my social media stuff, and the website for this is arvaneleron.com. Financially, !ArvShop is the merchandise area. !ArvTreon is that Patreon sitting right there. Always really awesome when people can support that. That's really the financial backbone of the channel, to let you see these videos. If you haven't seen the video, Hobbit, you might want to stick around for the intro/outro video, because we're pretty proud of it, and it was done through the amazing work of Mike Smith and Chrono Wolf doing the music. So all that's paid for thanks to things like the Patreon. Plus, you can get some cool stuff for yourself as well, and cool stuff for the channel. So definitely consider jumping on board with that. You can also, of course, subscribe to the channel. Subbing to the channel is always a good thing to do. Gives you those custom sub badges and emotes and inspirations to help with our tabletop campaigns. Same thing with the folks who are supporting the Patreon too. So it doesn't overlap for the most part, but that is one thing which is similar in both places. On the publishing side, !Icarus is my graphic novel from Athos Arts. !Library is my Tales and Tomes in the Forbidden Library. That is my 5e adventure and sourcebook I was just talking about, with the various adventures within it, one of which I ran one last year, earlier this year actually, and I'm going to be running one coming up next month at the Klein event in late January. So you can get that at Tales and Tomes for the Forbidden Library. You can also get ! Greyshade. That is my Grey Assassin trilogy. The first 2 books in the trilogy, Greyshade and Renegade from Athos Arts, are already out. You can get those right now. You can also get the Greyshade audiobook by Trent Sparks. You can get that right now too. And you can also pre-order the tabletop role-playing game of Greyshade, which is being done by Brandon O'Brien and Alligator Rally Entertainment. Have some very big, exciting stuff that we talked about today, and a big conversation about that with some of the Alligator Rally folks. So very excited about that. You can pre-order that, and you can also pre-order the final book in the novel trilogy. I am hard at work on Heretic, the final book in the series, and that will be out next year. When on schedule, it'll be out next year, and so you can pre-order that too, all at that ! Greyshade link. And last but certainly not, yes, I would think so, Trippett, I would think so, which we just wrapped up. And we have swag for that too in our shop. Last but certainly not least, BLM, Black Lives Matter, very important to affirm and assert the significance and importance of Black lives. Help Now, which is the World Health Organization page on suicide prevention. Important to reach out to others when you need help, and reach out to others when they need help as well. And Ukraine, UKRAINE, to help the fine people of Ukraine as they fight back against an illegal and illegitimate war with bravery and courage, and send the message that we will do so for others in this situation in future. It's always, I don't know know about going broke, but always, because you got to become your free time. Listen, any time you're able to spend, there's never any pressure, Hobbit, but it's always a pleasure to have you here and to have anyone that you let know about it as well. We love building the community here as well. That's going to do it for me. I want to thank everyone who made this an awesome stream tonight. Thank you to my wonderful mods, Drew the Damager, Hillness, Shadowed Mage, Triffity Mats, best in the business. Thank you to my wonderful Patreon supporters and subscribers, Drew, Hillness, Shadow, Triffid, Aklaba, and Hobbit in Training. Thank you so much. Good to see you again, Aklaba. And thank you to my wonderful viewers. Thank you to Aha. Thank you to Betrader. Thank you to Big Boss. Thank you to David, to Dragon Spear, who must be lurking. Thank you to Jack Daniels. Thank you to Jagtress, to Mark. Thank you to Mr. Munch. Thank you to Mrs. Dunsel, who must be lurking as well. Thank you to Shattered Antiquity, to Spofo, and thank you to Strider. Thank you all so much for all of this. Please stick around for the video, and then for the raid afterwards, and I will see you lovely people back here Saturday, sometime between 7 and 8 p.m., probably, I'm guessing probably closer to 8 p.m., but somewhere around there, 7:30 to 8, let's say it that way, Eastern Standard, for more Starfield. Until then, everyone, as I always say, please be good to each other, and have a good night. Oh, and thanks to my players as well. Bye for now.